This is the SuperCoach NRL official podcast. Team List Tuesday with Tom Sangster and Rob Sutherland.
We're on. We're on. It's all happening.
At some point, are we ever going to work out that live TV means you're live?
The SuperCoach Live React Team podcast for round 2 is live. Rob Sutherland is here, and we start with some breaking news. Lachie Galvin has scored the number 6 spot at the Tigers. Big news. We thought he was going to be in the 17 somewhere. I was thinking in number 14, but Benji Marshall, who made that 6 jersey famous himself a number of years ago, wore it for a decade, has thrust the young gun straight into the 6 jersey.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to pull myself together. There's a word we were using before. I got to stop. The interesting thing there, though, is that Caesar's still on the bench, right? So if Galvin was starting at 14, would you be like, let's get him, he's starting, so we want to get in? Or does it worry you that even if he's starting, you've still got Caesar there at 14?
The thing is, for me, I would have picked Galvin last week if the Tigers didn't have the bye. Unfortunately, they did have the bye, and Kyle Flanagan came out and did very well. And
I don't
want to sell him, so Galvin probably has to wait at least until round 3. You get a look.
There's no rush, right? There's absolutely no rush. Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I was going to go Galvin, and then I was going to go Plath, because Plath was named and Galvin wasn't. Yeah. Plath did pretty well. In the end, I did Flanagan as well, and he got 58 with a try and a line break, and the try was a bit late, and the Titans were a bit crap. And the
Dragons were brilliant. It's a new era at the Dragons. The Dragons are going to be one of the cheapies of the year.
There is nothing better. The Dragons losing is always a pleasure, but the Dragons winning in round 1 is possibly better, because all of the Dragons fans in the office start strutting around. We're back. Flano's, he knows how to coach. It's all on. We're there. Lomax is a gun. Should always have been on the wing. I don't care if he's happy or not. And then the decline is the best bit.
March premiers, baby. Even back when we were good, we used to always start the season well and then fade, and then we've been bad for a number of years now, so we'll just take any win that we can get. Also, Josh Schuster, he's returning. He's finally fit after the chicken pox, the broken finger and a calf injury. Disrupted off-season, but he's back, but playing reserves. Great news, of course, for Ben Trbojevic.
Yeah, look, I mean, Burbo was one of my few wins. Unfortunately, everyone had that win. So, it's great for us. You've got to think on form that Trbojevic holds his spot. That said, Manly are paying Schuster, 1.4 million a year, isn't it?
No.
It's 800,000. Paying him 800k a year to play resis or be in the rehab group. So that's got to change, you'd have to think.
Yeah, Burbo is owned by 62%, so there's still quite a few people who don't own him. If you don't have him in yet, just get him in. Also, we know that Bronson Xerri won't be there. We were hoping that he would, with Josh Addo-Carr being injured this week, but it looks like Connor Tracy will come into that back line either at centre or Carraz goes to on the wing, and Carraz stays at centre.
Yeah, look, the big bummer for me out of that was not Xerri. It was Jamin Salmon, who was having a really good game in the first 20 minutes, as good as any of the Bulldogs were, and they were kind of blown away. And then the injury happens and he has to slide out. And God, it sucks when that happens to your player. That you got this guy and he's in the middle, and he's ripping it, and then they just get pushed out to second row forward, and then they get pushed out to centre. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So I had a few people sort of saying, I'm going to trade Salmon or put a line through Salmon, and I think you've got to be a bit forgiving in that one.
Yep, I agree. It was a similar story for Dylan Lucas as well, who got put out to centre, then copped that concussion trying to save the try. Send your questions through, guys. We'll get to them later in the show, but I'll give you a little bit of a teaser now. Who's the homeless guy on the right? Assume that's you.
Well, the right, that's me,
Woo, it's time for more dud tips. Jeez, the banter in this segment is just too good for us.
We didn't do tips, did we?
No, I think they mean...
Oh, you mean the general tips. Provision of advice?
Yes.
Well, stuff you too.
Winners and losers. I reckon, my first winner is now a loser. When I was putting this through this morning, I thought that Tom Arsenhuth was going to be a winner, but that's not going to happen. So Luciano Leilua is back, as we expected, making his third, not club debut,
club debut, is it? Yeah.
But his return for the Dragons. Plus, Blake Laurie is back as well from that injury that he missed the game on the weekend. Plus, Hame Sele is back. So 3 big forwards are in. I don't know where that sees Eisenhuth or Raymond Fatala-Mariner or Viliami Fafita. But it looks like Fafita drops out for
Fafita's
sure.
got to drop out.
And the other 2 probably drop to a bench or get reduced roles. Eisenhuth and Raymond Fatala-Mariner in particular are really popular buys this week. I wouldn't be going anywhere near there.
Yeah, they're both dead set traps. Yep.
Who are your winners?
Oh, Taylor May.
Yes.
Thought he went
Terrell or Taylor?
No, Taylor. I thought Taylor went really well. Like in a team that scored 0 points, and what did he finish with? 67 points, something like that. That's pretty bloody good. And Terrell May, if we're going to do the double. It's about 50 points in base, 3 successful offloads and a tackle bust. That's really, really good. And while I'm throwing them out there, Smithies, 59 points in base.
Yeah.
With an HIA.
With an HIA, yeah. Like there was every chance that he would have played 80 minutes in that game. So looks like he will be one of the cheapies of the year, the sort of Jacob Preston of last year. Something like that. All right. So if you don't own, he's only owned by 31%.
Oh, that'll
he should
change.
be.
Yeah,
he should be
the
in
most
60% of teams.
There is that issue, right? Though that he's got Horsburgh coming back. How does that fit? But after a while, I think you've just got to trust the fact that 59 in base is 59 in base and stick him in your team.
Yeah, and it looks like Horsburgh's going to play through the middle anyway. Moving on to the losers, I've got a sneaking suspicion that Jacob Gagai will be a loser today. They've got Isaac Thompson, who wasn't allowed to travel to the US, who would have got that spot apparently, but couldn't go to the US. So there's a chance he takes that wing spot of Gagai, who was obviously scored the try over in Vegas and looked pretty good and scored well.
Speaking of Souths, Tommy, we've got some big news. The team has dropped early.
Yes.
At number 12 is not Jacob Host. It's your man, Tallis Duncan.
Tallis Duncan's in.
Tallis Duncan named on an edge, and the bench is Havili, Moali, Mitchell, Tom Burgess, 4-prop bench.
Okay.
But that just means that Cam Murray slots out to 12 when Havili comes in at 13.
So good news for Duncan. Rewinding a little bit here.
Yeah.
Jai Arrow out for anywhere from 4 weeks to the season. So massive blow. I own him. He's going to go to Terrell May for me.
Yeah.
Do you own him?
No.
No,
Oh, well,
okay.
I don't now. I did.
Yes, you did. So he's been traded.
But he was going for May. That was really disappointing. I let myself down. He was on my never again list, but I put him in.
So is Jacob Gagai there?
Yeah, Jacob Gagai and Kenner have both held their spots.
Right, and
Piakura's there. Piakura's one of the most sold players. I do not understand that. He only had 4 minutes.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You keep him for sure. He was one of the great mid-range buys of the pre-season. You can't sell him after just one concussion.
Corey Jensen's been moved to the starting.
Yep, and Xavier Willison
on the bench.
He's on the bench, so they've got rid of Tapau.
Oh no, Tapau's on the bench.
Tapau's on the bench, so Willison's out of the 17. Have we got any other teams?
Yeah, Connor Tracy's in at the Dogs. Max King.
So no Bronson Sherry.
No Sherry. Salmon at 13. Mann on the bench. Sam Hughes, Curran. So it's the same there. So nothing big, no big changes there. The big news being that Connor Tracy won the wing spot.
Yep.
Elsewhere at the Sharks, very settled. Which is disappointing. They were just absolutely played off the park by the Warriors. The Warriors' speed at which they were sort of getting there. Well, that's the one thing that was a loser, was the referee from that game. Because the Warriors were really good at finding their knees and speeding up their play the ball. But bloody hell, they're good at slowing the opposition down. Every time they'd get their hands down and sort of just hover them over the Sharks player, and as he went to get up, just give him one extra press. And they got away with it time and time and time again. It's very easy to get your speed really fast when you're slowing the other team down. So I think the Warriors play the Storm this week, and it's going to be a spectacular wrestler-thon. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes. The other thing I want to talk to you about at the Sharks is Nicho Hines.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for the Sharks that Braden Trindle is such a target for them in attack. But is it taking away from Nicho, and does it affect his Supercoach scores?
Oh, I think one game is too small of a sample size. I think he's played fine with Trindle in the past. they just were they were out of the game. They were kept out of the game. I know they won the game, but they were right out of it for so long. And I just think it's too many people are sort of drawing assumptions based on one game. Give it some time. There's a reason Nico Hines has been averaging 90-odd points for 2 years. Just can't. On
to the next match, which is the Panthers v the Eels. The things we're looking out for here are, is Sorensen back in that team? And he is. It means that Liam Henry retains his bench spot, which is great news for that Supercoach.
I always said he was going to, Thomas.
Yep.
He was such a Henry doubter.
I think Eisenhuth has dropped out of that squad instead of Henry. I'm happily on Henry. I was sceptical earlier in the preseason.
You were a big doubter,
but it was I think it was 36 points in about the same amount of minutes. So pretty solid. I was impressed with the amount of minutes actually.
Yeah. And he's got an engine. He can take all the minutes that they can throw at him.
Sonny Luke wins that bench spot ahead of Peachy again.
Yeah. I've seen people getting excited about Sonny Luke. Oh, he's back. Let's get on. Yeah. All of the cheapy hookers have question marks. Like Sonny Luke, Joey Lussick, Freddie Lussick, and Danny Levi. Danny Levi was on about 5 points at half time. He finished okay, but I'd be super careful. Yeah. With making them my starting hookers. Saved
by the try, definitely. Moving on to the Eels. So Mitch Moses is there.
He's okay.
He's been cleared of that groin injury, which is good news for Supercoaches. Sean Lane was interesting. I got off Lane thinking that Kelma Tuolangi might cut into his minutes. Then Sean Lane came out and played 80 minutes.
Played the full 80. Everyone else made way, even Hopgood, which was much to the chagrin of a lot of the people who'd paid up for him. So that's a good thing for Lane, and the points will come. If he keeps playing 80 minutes, the attack will come.
You mentioned him before, Joey Lussick keeps that number 9 jersey. A lot of people are bringing him in this week. Again, saved by that try assist. But he's a tackling machine. I'd probably prefer to be on him ahead of Danny Levi for now, but I certainly wouldn't be buying him
I'd prefer to be on him, but that was... He kicked a 40-20, so he's got 40-20 to his score, right? That's his first 40-20 of his career. He had 1 try assist. That was the first try assist of his NRL career. It's a lot. Those are a lot of firsts to be basing it on. He only made, I think, about 28 tackles, which I was a bit, that's not very good in 63 minutes. To be fair to him, though, he was the lead tackler from his team, so they weren't required to make a lot of tackles. So when you're looking at sort of the base wasn't there from the Eels players, it's because the Dogs weren't running at them.
Moving on to the Raiders, the big change there is that Albert Hopewadi goes to the wing and Sebastian Kris is back from suspension.
That seems
We
right.
knew this was coming, and the player who's dropped out, as we predicted, is Nick Kotrick. So if you got an Xavier Savage as a cheapie, well done, because he did pretty well, scored that try in round 1. He's not a base stat guy, but he's still got mid-20s in base, which is solid for him. We're relying on attacking stats for him. The Tigers.
Number 13. Alex Seyfarth. Now, we have a real potential sort of good get here. Alex Seyfarth's a guy who I've seen in spurts do really good stuff. He's bigger than you think. He's nimble enough to play on an edge. Starting at 13, you wouldn't jump on him now, but you've got Fanua Pole, Twal and Sam Fainu there on the bench, along with Caesar. So, Seyfarth maybe you could pencil in for 55 minutes looking at that bench. I think he's only 320k. He's one I'm definitely watching.
Looking at this Tigers team, jersey number 4, Solomone Fatape. He's a cheapie, surely. I haven't looked him up, but he must be.
He's either a cheapie or he's one of those guys who's changed his name.
Yes, could be.
Which it could be. How's our research? Well, it's live. What could you do?
So we don't know, and I can't. And this computer's not working, so I can't even look it up. But have a look for him, because he could be an unexpected cheapie. You're not going to bring him in this week, but wait until round 3 and see what happens. Moving on.
It's because Justin Olam's out.
Olam's out, yes, and Olam's probably back next week.
Yeah.
Cowboys, I'm expecting them to be unchanged, given how well they went. The big guy to talk about there is Jason Taumalolo. One of the most solid players, barely got any minutes. But then again, a whole bunch of the forwards didn't get any minutes because they were just so far on top that I think Peyton probably just got his bench guys a bit of a run.
The game was over at 30 minutes. So Lolo played 21 minutes, didn't come back on. McLean, 33 minutes off the top of my head. And even Cotter was 51 minutes, which is a bit less, and finished off the field. So those guys played less minutes than you'd expect them to play. And as a result, Sam McIntyre, who I think he scored like 42 in 40 minutes, very good, but be careful because I don't know that he gets that many minutes when the game's actually on the line.
Yeah, it's a good call on McIntyre. The other guy that really impressed me was Zach Labert, who's really popular this week. Comes in underpriced, but he looks like an absolute gun. Probably is underpriced. I would love for him to be 100k cheaper, but in the mid-4s. Would you be getting on this week?
No. I really liked what we saw, and we're seeing it here. The hammer. Whoa. Still got a Dally M vote, and absolutely had some shockers in defence. Thing with Lay is that, like, not super busy, right? So the number of runs, I think 12 or 13, but very, very efficient. So that's my little fear. It's not a huge one, but I'm going to wait and see on him. Kai Pearce-Paul is starting.
Yes, I've just seen that. That's huge. So Dylan Lucas owners would not be happy about that. Is Lucas in the squad, or is he? So yeah, presumably that's concussion related.
I would say so, yeah.
But Pearce-Paul now has the chance to play his way into that spot, and he was pretty impressive when he took over that role from Lucas on the weekend.
He was very good. My one fear at the Sharks, I was really hoping to see it would be different, but it's not, is that there's Gamble and Hastings and Crossland and Cogger on the bench. At points, there were all 4 of them on the field, and you just had like these essentially 4 halves, like getting in each other's way, and more importantly for me, not getting the bloody ball to Ponga, right? So Ponga was okay in the first half, but then once you ended up with this like wall of halves there, it was like he couldn't get the ball in an attacking position. I hope they've done a lot of work on that, and it looks better. Yeah.
The other news there at the Knights is Anari Tuala is in doubt. He's out. I was hoping that Will Price, from a Supercoach perspective, I was hoping Will Price would come onto the wing. It's Thomas Jenkins, the former Panther, who's come into the wing. He's
pretty good.
He's a good player, but he's not a Supercoach option. He's already expensive after the good games that he had at the Panthers last year.
Correct.
Storm v Warriors. What have we got at the Storm?
Well,
Munster there?
Joe Chan has held onto his spot.
Yes.
That's a win. 65 minutes and 28 points. He missed 8 tackles?
7, I think, was the final count. It depends what stats.
Yeah, it depends where you look at stats. But it was a lot. Yeah. And I feared he might lose his spot, but he's held it, so that's good.
That is good for now. Although, I mean, looking at the bench, is Nelson Asafa Solomona there? No, he's not.
Blaw's still in the reserves, so yeah, that's good. He's held off Blaw.
Yep. So, I mean, he needs to start making tackles, but it's good signs for now. Yep. And then on to the Warriors. What have we got there?
Fanua Blake was very, very good.
Just a beast.
And the bench with Lussick, Ale, Afoa and Walker suggests that he'll get plenty more minutes again. So I missed out on him, but, well done to those who got him, because he was a monster.
Wade Egan and Kurt Capel are in a little bit of doubt, but they've been named. We'll keep an eye on that for late mail. And your guy, Tane Tawapiki.
He was good.
Very good. Yeah.
Very
lots of tackle busts.
Yeah.
Looks like CNK's back after a month, so he might get 2 price rises instead of just the 1.
Oh, I'll take 2. Yeah.
Yep. Moving on to the
Roosters.
Sea Eagles.
No, the Roosters.
Well, you go just because they're playing, you take them first.
Correct.
Even though it's at 4 Pines Park.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the sponsors of that place. They've never sent me the case of beer I kept asking for. Dom Young is back.
Yep.
That's good. Backline needed a little bit of star quality. It was looking a little bit threadbare. And Jared's in, of course.
Spencer Lanu, obvious sell. Get him out of your team.
Yes, Tilly's there, so that's good. He's sort of carrying a bit of a knock. The bench.
And Siwa Wong was in a little bit of doubt too, so good to see him named as well.
Terrell May coming off the bench, but you kind of expect that. He comes off the bench maybe at the 30-minute mark, and then he potentially plays all the way through the second half.
At the Sea Eagles, Jason Saab's out 6 weeks for Jason Saab. Spot is taken by Tommy Talau.
What a shame.
So he's 277k. Could be a good cheapie. You don't need to move now, but could be a really good cheapie.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I enjoy watching Ray Vega play because every time someone has the temerity to tackle him, he gets up and threatens to take him out the back of the car park and beat the hell out of him. And I think he could.
He's a scary looking
He's fun
dude.
to watch.
Fun to watch, definitely. Tommy Turbo, definite for captaincy up against the Roosters this weekend.
Please.
No, Tommy Turbo at 4 Pines Park, I always captain.
Captaincy
Even
this
though
week,
and it's a day game too.
Captaincy this week is very hard. I think I'll be going vice captaincy on Nico and captaincy on Turbo.
Moving on to the Dolphins. What do we have here? So Max Plath is in 13.
Yeah.
So Ray Stone's out with a concussion.
Yeah, out with HIA.
Plus they lost Connolly Lemu, who is out until round 6.
Yeah.
Plus there's the ACL injury to Tom Gilbert.
So Ewan Aiken, your man Ewan Aiken gets a start on the edge.
Gets a start on the edge too.
Yeah.
So a bunch of guys to look out for at the Dolphins. And then at the Dragons...
Well, Eisenhuth has held his spot, but it's moved from... He started at lock because they originally had named him... I think they named him on the bench, and then they moved de Belin into prop from the team that was named, and Eisenhuth started lock. So now he's gone to an edge.
Yep.
And Raymond Fatala-Marina's gone to the bench.
Luciano Leilua is back on the bench. My advice here with the Dragons is just avoid all forwards. Don't go near RFM this week. Don't go near Eisenhuth. Just see what happens this round with those 3 guys back in Laurie.
It's a very strange bench. You've got Michael Molo, who's a prop, and then you've got Fatala-Marina, who's a 13 edge, and you've got Luciano Leilua, who's an edge who can occasionally sort of stroll into the middle and, throw his weight around. So, no, I mean, you'd have to think Laurie's going to play big minutes there, and de Belin will probably play out really big minutes at lock.
Interesting that Hame Saleh hasn't made the 17. He's in jersey 22.
Yeah.
He could easily come into that 17. I think he's a pretty handy player.
Late changes, yeah.
Viliami Fafita misses out. So that was always the danger with Fafita, the job security.
Yep.
And with those 3 big forwards back, he drops to 18th man.
That's it.
And that's it.
Oof.
Teams are done.
There's a bit there.
Plenty of action. Stay tuned. I've got my teams analysis going up in probably 2 hours or so. So any little thing that we've missed today, and sorry if we have, it will be in that teams analysis. Big thanks to Rob. We'll catch you on Thursday for our preview podcast. See you then.